segment. Now we're going to go under the radar. What teams in the NBA are flying just under the radar? Might be playing well, but for some reason, no one is talking about them. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. Let's take a look at two teams that are pretty good and actually have a good position in the standings, but just not sure if they're going to be trustworthy or not. We'll start off with Brooklyn. What do you guys think?
Well, I think Brooklyn, I think everybody looks and says they're too young. This team is obviously a team that might can get into the playoffs, but I don't think they can do damage. And like you said earlier, we were talking, everybody thinks, oh, they have next year. What I love about them is this is a group that's together. I always watch a team, how the guys on the bench react. They are up, cheering guys around.
My favorite.
They're kind of like a 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". They don't have a lot of hype on this team, but they come out and play extremely hard swing. And to me, they have three closers in D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Karis LeVert at the beginning of the season was finishing games, and I think he's getting back into rhythm.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Smitty. And I think the one thing with this team, too, is that they have brought into the system. A lot of times you think about guys that will want to be one-on-one or be in the pick and roll. They've really opened it up. They're really great in transition, and I think having a healthy team, too. We saw how they struggled. Well, D'Angelo had to take on a more of a load when Spencer Dinwiddie was out, but having those guys back and healthy is going to pay dividends for him.
Well, another team in the East that is flying under the radar, which is hard to believe when you look at the rankings because they're listed at the third position. The Indiana Pacers, when Victor Oladipo went down with that season-ending injury, everyone had a gasp and thought, oh, no. But check this out. Before and after the Victor Oladipo injury, surprisingly, very similar numbers.
I think you have to give a lot of credit to what Nate's been able to do with this team. And I think the one thing is that no one has had to take on the load of Oladipo being out. They just continuously played to their role and to their strengths, and that's why they haven't missed a beat. If you watch them play, they're still passing the ball a lot. This guy right here, Wes Matthews, shooting 40% from the three. He's been a welcome addition to this roster. And then Sabonis on the inside. I loved his game in college. It's transitioned so well to the NBA. And Collison able to set all those guys up and get them in position, Smitty. They just kept chucking along, and every week is waiting like, all right, when are they going to drop? When are they going to drop? And they just keep winning and winning.
And I love it. And you said it best. Nate McMillan has this team, and I always go back to old school, playing the right way. They come out, they don't beat themselves. And some of the players that stick out for me, all the players you said, Swin, but for me it was Miles Turner. I was waiting for him to be aggressive. I think when Oladipo was out, I think the spotlight was on him. He started blocking shots. And then they have that 1-2 combination, Sabonis coming off the bench. Veterans and Collison, they have some guys that just get it done collectively, and we keep waiting, as the media and people saying, no, Victor Oladipo, this team is going to slide. Well, Nate McMillan in Indiana is saying, y'all just keep wishing we're going to stay right here. I love what they've done.
Yeah, you know, the other teams are sitting there waiting, too, like, oh, Indiana's going to slide. And it's like, no, Celtics, 76ers, y'all going to have to beat them.
Nate McMillan has always been very solid.
Coach of the year right now, in my opinion.
I would
love what you're doing, Nate.
He's really making sure that they're doing what you said, playing basketball the right way. A lesson there for all you at home. Find some prosperous activity there. All right, let's get to the West. Who's flying under the radar in the other conference? The Utah Jazz. They got off to a rocky start. Remember, they finished last season very strong, surprised a lot of people. We had high hopes and expectations for them as this season began. Not so much, but now Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, they're picking things up.
Well, I will say, no excuses. This is the NBA, and you play basketball games. They had a tough schedule to start the season. And I thought also Donovan Mitchell coming off that injury. I mean, he was playing, but he wasn't in the rhythm. And people were saying maybe it's a second year's slump. But for me, Swin, it came down to this team not playing cute anymore. I think they got back to the Utah Jazz. Everybody against us when they started losing. They got a little bit grimy, and they started making the grit and grind plays, making games ugly and winning with their defense.
Yeah, and they got back to Gobert challenging consistently at the rim. That was the big thing for him. I think his presence is what they need. But listen, it's the ball's in your court, as we like to say out here. They have the easiest schedule down the stretch. If they want to get into the playoffs and really make a run and make a push, now is the time. Because out of all the teams that are fighting for those positions down there, they have the easiest schedule.
We talked about the strength of schedule. We just showed you guys at home that graphic. They've got 18 games remaining, and 13 of those 18 games are against teams that are 500 or sub 500. So it bodes well for them as they wrap their season up. They're not the only team, though, that you may not recognize as having a successful year so far. The Portland Trailblazers, they're my dark horse team. I thought that they have really been underestimated. I think that the two guards have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, they should, and they've always played with a chip on their shoulder, in my opinion, Steph. They just didn't have any help. For me right now is Dame has gone to another level, CJ, but they still needed another guy, a third guy. Not only have a third guy in Nurkic, he's playing extremely hard, but if Nurkic gets in foul trouble and just for a minute he's not doing well, they picked up Enes Kanter. Then they needed shooting, and Rodney Hood, he's knocked down shot. Jake Layman has played extremely well for them, and then they have another guy that can stretch the floor in Seth Curry. So finally, the Portland Trailblazers, to me, they have a bench and some third options to go along with those two magnificent guards.
Yeah, and the two guys you talked about, and Cantor and also Hood, those were kind of like sneaky pickups for me, where people are like, all right, well, how are they going to, add to the Portland Trailblazers? But they do, because of how their games are. You talk about Hood. Not only can he be able to knock down a shot, but he also can create a little bit, right? And then Cantor, you want him to go out there and mix it up. You want him to rebound and set screens and get those guards open. So I think that they have bolstered their bench a little bit more to make this run here in the playoffs.
I cannot wait. I know I've said this before, but this is my favorite time of year,
yeah,
leading up to the playoffs. This is essentially like the playoffs now. You've heard several guys around the league. They say that every game is a playoff game for us starting now, and we're seeing it as we watch every single night.